At nightfall, monstrous animals crawl out of crater of volcano. A creature named the Black Scorpion by panic-stricken people of San Lorenzo.
I remember watching the movie Spawn, and there was this scene where the guy has an ashtray, and when he puts the cigarette out, there's two scorpions fighting, and I thought that's awful that these animals are being used. They're seen as nothing more than a prop in a movie, a bad movie at that. When people think of conservation of animals, there's people standing up for whales and pandas and koalas. Seems that anything that's cute or cuddly people like to say, but things that aren't, even though scorpions are extremely beneficial, no one seems to really care, so that's why I sort of stepped up.
Scorpion destroys communication. Hundreds annihilated.
I've been into misunderstood creatures for a long time. That's how I started doing stuff with snakes and snapping turtles. And scorpions had been on the back of my mind for quite some time. And it was only last year that I had the opportunity or the freedom to sort of pursue it. Because before then, my obligation was to, I was educating people on snakes and turtles and things like that. And then I had some people approach me that said they wanted to help out at presentations. And they sort of took over where I left off, which allowed me the freedom to sort of do whatever I wanted next, sort of change up the show a little bit. And all of a sudden it sort of hit me. Scorpions, are very much like snakes and sharks, other animals I love. They have very similar parallels. People don't like them, a lot of myths and misconceptions. And that's something I've always been passionate about, is sort of standing up for these misunderstood creatures and being their advocate. I think under the myths and misconceptions that surround scorpions, there's a really interesting animal there. I mean, they're over 420 million years old, which means they're literally living fossils. They're over 200 million years older than dinosaurs even, and they've managed to survive countless millions of years of environmental change and sort of atmospheric change, and species have come and gone, but they're still there. And I think right there, an animal that can do that sort of has my respect anyway, and just there's almost something alien about scorpions and sort of something quite a little bit nightmarish about them, and I think that sort of is intriguing to me. Maybe I just have a soft spot for misfits or something, but I've always been drawn to snakes and sharks and scorpions, so it's sort of a bit of a kaleidoscope of all those reasons why I sort of gravitated towards them. Well, my main objective is I sort of see myself as an advocate or a champion for scorpions. My job really is to, number one, to debunk all the myths out there that a lot of people, what they know from scorpions, they only know from movies, and that these are venomous creatures that stalk down people and sting them with every chance they get, and when someone's stung, they immediately fall over dead. That's not true. They do a lot of good things. The venoms from scorpions are being used in the medical industry to treat everything from brain cancer to creating new antibiotics. So these creatures are actually saving lives rather than taking them. There's one species of scorpion in Canada called the northern scorpion, which can be found in southern Saskatchewan, Alberta, and BC. So someone might say, well, you're in Kingston, why would there be a need for a scorpion conservationist around here? And my answer is, again, what I was talking about with the tourist trade, all those scorpion products, I've seen them all around Kingston at various stores. I've seen kids with the necklaces, I've seen the candies, I've seen the paperweights with dead scorpions. So even though there's no scorpions around here, the trade in scorpions can be around here. So I like to educate people by making informed decisions and not supporting these trades. You can be a good global land steward. You can be a good steward to the earth and its creatures and the environment by just making informed decisions. So this little scorpion right here is called a Moroccan black scorpion, and they come from Morocco. Now this one has quite thin, long claws compared to the other scorpions. The question I get asked very often is, the smaller the scorpion, the more venomous it is. It's actually the size of the claws. There can be big scorpions or large scorpions that are very, very venomous, but again, they'll usually have very small claws compared to some of the other species.
Black Scorpion destroys communication.
This scorpion right here is one of the biggest in the world. This is called the emperor scorpion, and this is the scorpion that people usually see in movies like The Scorpion King or The Mummies or other horror movies. And the reason they use these guys is they're usually quite a docile scorpion. Some of them don't mind being handled and will walk around. They have a mild venom, and they're very big. So for people that don't know anything, if they see a big black scorpion, it looks big, it looks scary, it's intimidating, and that's certainly what people are using them for. And that's why that you see these scorpions in the movie. But again, that's not true. I was talking earlier that people, what they know about scorpions come from movies, but I wouldn't believe anything you hear about them in movies. So the last scorpion we have today is actually a very toxic scorpion. And again, if you look at his claws, he has very short, thin claws. So they're not very long or very sort of broody looking. They're just very little and almost dainty in appearance. And because of that, this scorpion has a very toxic venom. It would actually be equivalent to that of a cobra. So this guy is certainly capable of causing human fatalities. Now, when stinging defensively, sometimes the scorpions will inject little or no venom at all, and people get what's called a dry sting, because these animals aren't stupid. They know we are too big for them to consume. We're not a prey item for them, and if they do deplete all their venom, it could take several days for him to restock the supply. So he doesn't want to go hungry, so if he doesn't have to, he's not going to waste their venom. I've never been stung by one, and I think that's again proof that goes to show that they're not malicious creatures. Here's someone that interacts with scorpions on a day-to-day basis, and I've never had a negative encounter with one. It's funny, the first show I did with scorpions, I wasn't quite sure how it would go over. And the kids didn't know what I was talking about. I had Matt and Evan go first and talk about reptiles, and I saved these guys for the end. And I said, now we're going to talk about scorpions. And some of the kids actually stood up and jumped and cheered. And so it's clear from movies and things like that, they definitely know what they are. So there was already an interest there. They had known about scorpions, so it was really cool to see their reactions and see people get excited. And then hopefully by the end of it, take that inherent interest, which is already there, and turn it into empathy for these guys and make them think about it a little differently. Because if kids think that these guys are cool, I can let them know that not only are they cool, but we're not doing very nice things to them, and hopefully I can educate people on how to sort of do good things back for them. And if I can do that, then I've done the job.